Hey, welcome back. And if you're stuck in life, if you have a problem right now and you don't know what to do or you have a solution in mind, you might want to wait and watch this video. I'm going to share with you a framework, the problem rainbow, that might give you some extra insight into the nature of your problem and how you can solve it better. Welcome. First, before we dive into the problem rainbow, I just want to highlight a couple of things. So I usually touch upon it in a lot of my workshops that I do for big corporations, Fortune 500 companies, and that is whenever we say that we have a problem in life, we are talking about an event. Any problem, any situation that you're in can be in neutral terms described as an event. So it could be a problem for you, but for many others, it could be just nothing. So it's an event. And now, how you interact and engage with this event, you can call it a problem, you can call it a challenge, or you can call it an opportunity. And the difference is amazing. When someone, let's say someone calls you, you are at work or you're out somewhere, and someone calls you and goes, hey, you know what, there's a big problem. And the moment you hear this, what's the first thought that comes to your mind? Someone has called you from your house, and the first thing is, there's a problem. And suddenly you panic. You feel, oh no, something is broken down. Imagine now you're again out at work and someone from your family calls you and goes, hey, there is a big challenge right now. Again, your brain goes, oh, what is it now? However, there'll be a difference in your physiological, biological response when the person you love says, oh, there's a big problem, versus when the person you love says, there's a big challenge. Now imagine the third scenario. You're out there enjoying something or at work, and someone from your house calls and says, hey, listen, there's a big opportunity. Now, how will you feel? If you pay attention and think about it, I'm sure you can easily notice that it's the same event. However, when we stick a label of problem, our nervous system responds differently. When we stick the label of a challenge, our nervous system responds differently. And when we stick the label of opportunity, our nervous system responds in an entirely different way. And how or what kind of label do we stick? Usually, it depends on the kind of conditioning we have been subjected to, which means, in simple words, the kind of environment we grew up in. So if you grew up in an environment where everyone really welcomed new situations and saw them as opportunities to create something, to be the better version of yourself, you'll naturally stick the label of opportunity onto any situation. However, if you come from a background or a community or a city or a state with this culture that any new thing that comes and everyone goes, oh no, not again, it's a problem. And then you'll naturally be inclined to stick the label of problem and respond accordingly. So this is the first thing. Well, you can really consider seeing all situations as events, and that any event has no intrinsic value, which means all events are pretty much the same. They're neutral. And then if you can create that mental space where you do not really stick the default label that you've been conditioned to, but take a pause, take a deep breath, and then stick a label that serves you the most. You know, your problem will automatically get kind of, way easier for you to manage. Now that's one aspect. However, there is this the problem rainbow, that's a framework I've created to really look at any situation. You can call it a problem rainbow, you can call it a challenge rainbow, or you can call it an opportunity rainbow, whatever you want. However, this is a framework that I use to look at different things that happen in my life, and it makes it easier for me to really decide what to do, how to do, and what all do I need to really tackle the situation. And I'm going to give it to you now. Let's just take the comments. Hi, Guinea. Hi, V. Hi, Shilpa. Oh, okay. So the problem rainbow, as I call it, we can use it to classify any situation, any problem into 7 different categories. And you can, for the sake of this video, think of any problem you are facing right now, any challenge you are facing right now, and try to apply this framework to that problem or to that challenge. So whatever situation you're in right now, the first thing I want you to really look at the situation and ask yourself, is it a courage problem? Is it a courage challenge? Which means you know what you need to do, you know what you need, you have everything there, you know that what you want to do is right, you know that it is good for whatever you want to achieve in life. However, you are not able to step out of your comfort zone. You're not able to face your own family at times. You're not able to face your partner or friends, and you do not have the courage to really say, okay, I want this, I know how to get this, and you're not able to take that one step just because you're so comfortable in your comfort zones, just because you're scared. So, is it a courage problem? If it is a courage problem, no amount of thinking, no amount of talking, discussing, reviewing it is going to help. If it's a courage problem, you need courage. And you have to find a way to muster that courage. And one of the ways to really have that kind of courage is to be surrounded by people who are, in their day-to-day life, they step out of their comfort zones, they take risks, they follow their heart, they are willing to stand up for what they want. If you surround yourself with a community of such people, you naturally become more courageous, you have more courage. And this is the first lens to look at your situation. Do you have a courage problem? If you have the courage and you say, yes, courage is not a problem, I can really speak to my parents, I can convince them, and if they don't get convinced, if I know what I want is good for me, it's right, it's my thing, I like to fail chasing what I want rather than compromising and doing what other people want me to do, you have the courage. Then the second lens you really need is clarity. Do you know with clarity what do you want? Oftentimes when my clients come to me and I ask them, hey, what do you want? And a lot of the times they are able to tell me what they don't want. They can tell me, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want 20 things. But I ask, what do you want? And they don't have an answer. They can tell me what they don't want to do. They can tell me what they don't want to become, who they don't want to be with, where they don't want to be, but they're not able to really think of what they want. So that's one aspect of the clarity problem. The second aspect of the clarity problem is a lot of my clients, they would come to me with all clarity. They know what they want to do. They know why they want to do, and they're able to do it for like 15, 20 days or a month or 2 months. It varies from client to client. And then suddenly they forget about their bigger picture. They forget about their why. And it's like when you are doing something and you have a goal in mind which is going to manifest, probably take a decade to become reality, people around you at times, they keep telling you why you're doing this, you're just wasting your time, this is not going to work, it's not going to help. And they keep telling you this stuff every day, and after a while, if you are not really taking precautions, suddenly you start asking yourself the same question. What's the point of what I'm doing? Why am I doing this? What's the purpose? Am I just wasting my time? And they just completely forget about their bigger picture. Just because they're surrounded by people who keep telling them, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your time. And so these people need to be reminded every 15 days, every 30 days, hey, do you remember the first conversation we had? When you told me you want to do this because of that. And then suddenly they go, oh, yeah, you're right. But then they'll forget about it again another 15, 20 days or a month or so, and they will again feel demotivated. So, it could be your situation. Is it a clarity problem? If you are doing some stuff and you don't know why you're doing it, probably you've forgotten why you started in the first place. Because, if you want something really big, you want to achieve something really great, things take time. And one of the reasons people get demotivated very quickly is because they lose sight of why they started in the first place. The core motivation they had when they decided that I'm going to do this. I'm going to invest 10 years of my life in this pursuit. So that's the second lens you really want to consider. Clarity. Is it like, have you forgotten why you started? Or you never had that clarity. And another interesting thing is when you don't want to go anywhere, all roads lead there. If you have never really found your why and you're just doing things, almost everything in life eventually will become a drudgery. It will become a problem. So first, you need to figure out your clarity. And if you have already figured that out, maybe you've forgotten about it. And all you needed is just a reminder that why you started in the first place. So that's the second lens, the second color of the problem rainbow. The third is it a competence problem? It means you know what you want, you're aware of what you want, right? You have the courage. However, you do not have the skill set. And you are still pursuing, for instance, if I say, I want to win a gold medal in Olympics in 100 meters sprint. Well, that's possible. However, it's highly unlikely considering my age right now with the kind of medication and stuff we have. So it's a competence problem. I do not have that competence. I've not really trained myself in the last 20 years in order to compete in 100 meters sprint in Olympics and win a gold. And so you really need to look into your situation and ask yourself, is it a competence problem? Do I have the competence to get what I want? Can I get the competence? Can I acquire that competence to get what I want? Is it possible, with all the knowledge that we have in the world and all the support, to acquire the competence that I need to get what I want at the stage and age that I am at in life? Or is it possible for me to find someone else who has this competence, the skill set that I need to reach my goal? Can I hire someone and make someone do it for me? So now you know the lenses. The first lens was the courage lens, the courage color. The second is the clarity. And the third one is competence. So you really need to look at your situation. And if it's not a courage problem, it's not a clarity problem, you have the competence and the skill set to get what you want, then you want to look at the fourth color of the problem rainbow, and that is a cognition problem. A cognition problem is you're in a situation and you kind of feel stuck, and you have the courage, you have the clarity, what you want, you have the competence. However, you just need to stick with it. You just need to think critically, brainstorm a little more. And if you're not able to find a solution, you probably need to bring more people on the table, and all of you need to sit down and brainstorm, calculate different ways, look at the situation from different angles, because you know it's a cognition problem, which means there is a way to find the solution using permutations, combinations, calculations, and brainstorming. Right. So if it's a cognition problem, you do not need more courage. You do not need more clarity about the outcome. You do not really, you're not going to question the competence if you have the basic competence in place. Right. Now, the fourth color of the rainbow is you have a situation, you're stuck. Is it a coordination problem? And what is a coordination problem? That you have a bunch of people who are competent, who are clear, who have the courage, right? Who have the mental ability to really arrive at a solution. However, there are too many people and there is no order who's going to do what first and second and third. It's like, if you have a school and there are many teachers and all teachers are competent, but you need to make a timetable. You need to have a coordination plan that first this class, then second class. So it's more like, you have to really look into the science of process design and systems thinking or system creation. So if your problem is a coordination problem where people have courage, people have clarity, people have the cognitive ability, and you just need to really look into creating a system like an assembly line in a factory where you can bring all the people together and put them in a way that they become most effective and most efficient. So is it a coordination problem? And sometimes you have your coordination all sorted, you have your courage sorted, clarity sorted, everything is in place. However, the people in the team, they do not trust each other. They don't like each other. And now we have a cooperation problem, which means we have people who have courage, who have competence, who have clarity. You have already created a system or a process where coordination is no problem. And people don't like each other. They want to talk to each other. And which means, it's a cooperation problem. Now, if you've seen the movie Oppenheimer, you see when they were working on the project, sometimes it was a coordination problem, sometimes it was a clarity problem, sometimes it was a cooperation problem because there was so much mistrust amongst different teams working on the same project. So you really need to look at, is it a kind of cooperation problem? So how do you solve a cooperation problem? If you have in your team, in your life, nobody's willing to cooperate with you, no amount of courage is going to help, no amount of clarity is going to help, no amount of competence or skill set is going to help, no amount of coordination is going to help. You need to learn people skill, how to handle, lead, manage people. And you need to empower yourself, train yourself in the art and science and magic of influence. You need to have this ability to really talk to people and influence them. And that's how you overcome a cooperation problem. And then, if clarity is fine, you have the courage, you have the competence, you have the coordination, perfect systems in place, and you have the cooperation of people, and you have the cognitive ability, there is one more thing. And if this final thing is not there, everything else kind of becomes useless. And I call it the clinical problem, which means, there is a person is clinically depressed. The people who are working for you are clinically depressed. So I do a lot of corporate workshops, and in my workshops, what I find, because I'm trained to look at people, talk to them, and make a diagnosis about a clinical condition. And I figured out that a lot of people who are attending a workshop on leadership might have a serious clinical illness, a mental health challenge which is clinical in nature. And no amount of skill training, courage training, team bonding is going to help them, because their core problem is they're depressed. They are not able to motivate themselves, or they are psychotic. They are having delusions. They might have inclination towards antisocial personality traits. And if it's a clinical problem, you need a clinical solution. And the best thing is go to a clinical psychotherapist, talk to the person, and get in therapy before you try to really look at the situation and try to optimize other knobs. So this is the rainbow, the problem rainbow, I say. And we start with courage. Do you have the courage? Yes. Do you have the clarity why you started it? And if you are feeling demotivated in the process, do you remember why you started it? Yes. Do you have the competence? Yes. Do you have the cognitive mental capacity? Do you think you feel stuck because you're not thinking deep enough? Or maybe you do not have enough diversity in your team to really find innovative ways. I hope you do. And is it a coordination issue? You do not have a process, so a lot of the talent that you have is simply being wasted. Or is it a cooperation problem? People are simply, they do not like each other. So we see in cricket a lot. There are fantastic players in a team, but the team never wins anything because players are not aligned. They don't like each other. There's a lot of animosity within the team. And so, they lose to a team with less talent. And finally, do you have a clinical problem? Do you feel depressed? Do you feel lack of motivation? Do you feel angry? And do you scream and shout for no reason? Do you binge eat, binge watch, binge shop? Do you really explode? Do you think that people are chasing you or people are talking about you behind your back? Do you hear sounds and do you see people? Do you see visions of people? Are you not able to really function? Go to office, be productive at work? Do you not feel happy? This means it's a clinical problem. It's a clinical situation and you need to visit a professional. So this is the problem rainbow. And I'll just take a look at, hey Pallavi, hi Shilpa, hi Preeti. Cool guys, really nice. And if you have any question related to the problem rainbow, feel free to leave a comment. And I hope it was useful. And before you solve your next problem, before you look into your next situation, you really first stop for a moment and look into your situation through these 7 lenses to figure out what exactly is the nature of your problem or challenge or opportunity so that you can apply the right kind of solution, right kind of treatment. Enjoy yourself. Take care. Bye.